All right. This is our outreach project. Our topic is sleep deprivation and job performance at Buc-ee's. I'm Wells McDevitt.
I'm Pablo Schioneto.
Summary. We chose to do our outreach project at Buc-ee's. It's a very popular stop on I-35, and our hypothesis was that many people stopping at Buc-ee's in the later hours of the day would be much more likely to be sleep deprived, mainly since the biggest cities nearby is Dallas, which is an hour away, and Waco, which is 30 minutes away. So we hypothesized that most people at Buc-ee's have likely been on the road for a while, could potentially be on some caffeine, higher likelihood of seeing sleep deprivation. We arrived around 9:30, and we spent the next hour interacting with customers outside, attempting to spread our message on the importance of sleep deprivation. While many customers were unfortunately uninterested, we did manage to attract the attention of a few who asked about our project and the data that was included in our brochures.
All right, so for outcomes, we met with 25 Buc-ee's customers, and within these interactions, most of them were under a minute, and we had full-on conversations with them for under a minute, and then some of them even went past the minute mark up to 5 minutes, which was the longest interaction that we had. We created a very condensed, or as condensed as possible, brochure, which contained all the information to facts reviewed in class. We also put an ESS evaluation activity, which we put a disclaimer that it wasn't for diagnosis. It was just meant for self-assessment, so they could interact with the brochure. And then we used the Hack and Mullington research study that we learned in class to show people how sleep affects aggression, sociability, and levels of pain. And we even put the graphs that we learned about in class and explained it to them while we talked to them during the interactions. We also enhanced our brochures with artificial intelligence pictures, as you can see up above. And it was just a very well-made brochure, and it helped us interact with those at Buc-ee's.
I'll say it did. Some lessons learned and considerations for the future. Some lessons that we learned was that we potentially could have made our interactions more hands-on, as I talk about below, maybe potentially setting up a table with some chairs maybe. Our approach was generally just approaching people without really much rhyme or reason to it. So that's one. And as well, potentially going to Buc-ee's late at night, having benefits, as discussed earlier in our hypothesis, but also potential disadvantages as well. Some considerations include, as I said, we potentially could have gotten more interactions with a different, more interactive approach. Although I think what we did was certainly effective. That way we managed to come across people who maybe wouldn't be willing to approach a table, but would be willing to talk to us for just a little bit. Potentially coming up with a more eye-catching hook or even an interactive game. Limiting cons by testing if going at the day versus going at the night increases outreach. I think we'd be much more likely to see more people during the day. But we decided to go at night in order to hopefully meet our target audience, which is, of course, sleep-deprived individuals. Same says down below, determining whether or not nighttime Buc-ee's customers are, in fact, more likely to be sleep-deprived. We don't really have a way to find that out, but that was our hypothesis.
All right, so for best moments and positive reflections, we had two really important moments when we did the outreach project. The first one was when we met a lot of daily commuters and long-distance Uber drivers, who most of them shared commonalities of driving more than 10 hours every day consistently to make a living. And it's important to note that they do this for a living because the average person does not drive 10 hours a day. They drive, I don't know, let's say 2 to 3, and that's stretching it. And for those who drive more than 10 hours or 10 hours a day to make a living, it shows you how much a person would go for to provide their family. So it's an important moment that we wanted to include. And an even more specific moment was when we met a guy who was in his mid 40s, and he told us that he was awake for more than 24 hours, which we thought was absurd because, as we've learned in Dr. Skollin's class, that is not good for you. So then we started talking about like how that was bad, and then he told us that it was a sign that he had to get to bed as soon as possible. That we had that interaction with him, so I'm glad that we did do this project because we probably helped him get a good night's sleep. And then some positive reflections we got from these moments were that this project has not only expanded our knowledge, but has outreach to people from different communities that have stopped at Buc-ee's to tell them, look, sleep is important, don't deprive yourself of it, get enough of it, and you'll live with happy lives. And lastly, it's important to show that a lot of people didn't have interest in learning initially, but then now that they did learn that this topic exists, this issue exists, that it definitely applies to them, and it was really eye-opening to them. So I would say that that's also another positive reflection. So I would like to say thank you for listening to our project, and the end.
Thank y'all for listening.
Bye-bye.